Hello, I'm Dr. Baxter Bell for Chipper. You've tuned in to this segment because you're interested in having pain-free shoulders over time. So I'm going to assume that you already have some challenges in your shoulders. And of course, that can not only be pain with movement, but it could also be stiffness and limited movement or range of motion in the shoulders as well. Today I'm going to share with you one posture that could help you to start improving the overall range of motion of the shoulders, and with that increase in flexibility, you may find that the pain in your shoulders also begins to decrease as well. As with any yoga pose, if you find the pose does just the opposite, then skip this one and look for other options instead. The pose that we're going to work on today is called Powerful Pose, or Utkatasana in Sanskrit. It also is sometimes given the misnomer name of chair pose because it kind of looks like you're trying to sit down into a chair. But that really lessens the impact of its original name, which is a pose that is incredibly powerful for the body. So I'm going to give you a couple different ways of seeing this pose, both a back view and a side view in a moment, where you can get a sense of how the pose looks as you're working on it. And basically there's going to be three stages to the pose: a lower stage, a middle stage, and a higher stage that will allow you to challenge the range of motion of your shoulders in a good way without flaring up any pain. So one thing I will say is that as you're working with the shoulders, if they are painful, you want to make sure that what you're doing gives you a sense of stretch and maybe a certain intensity of sensation, but not true and frank pain. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn to face the wall and talk you into it from there. So as you turn to face the wall, you're going to have your feet hip distance apart, and you're going to be back from the wall about 1.5 or 2 feet. You're going to take your hands and place them up on the wall just a little higher than shoulder height. So here's shoulder height for me. I'm going to take the hands up maybe 1 hand length above that. From there, I'm going to bend my knees straight forward and stick my butt back and down so that I'm going to basically glue my hands where they are on the wall. And as I pull back and down, my elbows will begin to straighten and my shoulders will begin to go a little more in line with the sides of my body. As I do that, I might notice that maybe one side where I have some tightness begins to feel a little more intensity of stretch. Now, because this is a lot of work for the legs, we're not going to stay too long. I would suggest 4 to 6 breaths at each stage, just because your quadriceps are also going to get a lot of strengthening here. But we're pulling back and down with the hips away from the wrists, and the head, you'll notice, is right in between the arms. I'm not throwing the head back. I'm not dropping it down towards my chest. It's right in the middle. And then after a few breaths, I'm going to slowly come up. I'm going to release my arms down to my sides. I might even shake the shoulders out a little bit. I'm just going to notice how that feels before I go to stage 2. In stage 2, instead of the hands being here, the hands will come up about 1 hand length. So you're going up about 6 inches or so. The same actions are going to take place downstream. So I'm going to bend my knees forward in the direction my toes are pointing. I'm going to draw the hips down and back, and as I do that, my chest is going to tip a little more forward, the arms are going to line up with the angle of the side of my chest, and I'm going to pull down and back away from my wrists. My hands are glued on the wall. I don't want them to slide down. I want to keep them glued right where they are, and I'm going to pull down and back. Again, 4 to 6 breaths, at least initially, for probably the first couple of weeks you work on this. It's going to be plenty of time in this pose. You'll know because your legs are going to start talking to you a little bit. And then you're going to inhale and come up, and again, release the arms down for a moment and shake it out. For stage 3, stage 1, the hands were about here. Stage 2, the hands were about here. Stage 3, I'm going to go up about 1/2 hand length. Right, I'm going to firm my hands. I'm going to bend my knees straight forward and draw my hips down and back. I don't have to go very far because my hands are so high before I really start to feel that stretch around the shoulders. I happen to have an old left shoulder injury. I'm tapping my left fingers on the wall, and I can feel that more actively in that shoulder than I can on the other side. So this actually feels really good, a really nice stretch for those tight, old injured areas in that shoulder. And then again, after 4 to 6 breaths, you're going to come up and out. Give the arms a good shake. You can turn away from the wall, roll the shoulders a little bit, bobble the head. So Powerful Pose, Utkatasana, is an excellent pose that improves range of motion in the shoulders and can, over time, get those cranky, painful shoulders to quiet down and become pain-free. You might want to finish your practice by now doing the relaxing breath practice. Thank you.